Welcome to episode 7 of Collect a Hobby Podcast. Today we interview Rich, the CEO of Rising Empire Studios and the creator of Alpha Clash TCG, so stay tuned.
You collect video games, and you collect trading card games. Welcome to your new home, and welcome to one of the most unique podcasts ever. This is the Collect a Hobby Podcast. We've been collecting for years, and we're up to date on all the latest trends in the hobby. Our website, collectahobby.com, is a social network for collectors, made by collectors, for collectors. Welcome to your new family. This is the Collect a Hobby Podcast. And now, your expert hosts, Hector and Rich.
Let's get this party started.
What?
Sounds fun. Wear your helmets.
Let's first start out by you telling us a little bit about yourself and why do you decide to start a trading card game?
Yeah, so everyone, my name is Ridge, and I'm from small town Iowa. Grew up, I wrestled in college, wrestled after college, was a strength and conditioning coach professionally for MMA fighters, and then was with the world-renowned Cirque du Soleil as a strength coach with them for several years. And during COVID, what happened was, Cirque shut down. We were in Las Vegas, and I was jobless. I was at home, and all of a sudden one day, I had an idea pop into my head for a story, and I called up one of my buddies that's now one of the co-owners of the business, and just said, hey, I have this really cool idea. Do you want to hear me out? And we'll start doing some concept art because he's an artist. But all right, yeah, let's do it. So quickly after that, I called up another friend who I worked with at Cirque du Soleil, and I said, hey, I know you're a writer. His degree's in writing, and just one of the most creative people that I knew, and just a friend as well. And so I said, I got a story. I can't explain it, but it's awesome, and you need to hear me out. So we started meeting over the pandemic, and we just started to build the story. We just focused on the lore, and we had fun with it, and we started creating it. And I said, all right, I think we're thinking a little bit too small with just the story. Let's try to get this in as a comic. Let's do a card game. Let's build this into a full franchise. The build up to the card game actually took a little while, but by the time I decided to do a card game, which was about 6 months into story development, I started to bring on more team members. So now there's 6 co-owners of the business, tight team. Everyone has just awesome skills, and we pretty much just delegate tasks. And now we are close to launch with the trading card game, and that in and of itself, that is going to be our flagship product.
It's kind of amazing when you hear all these stories of people during the pandemic, right? Because it was pretty hard for a lot of people during that time, but it's amazing to hear what could come out of that, and to hear that you sat down, you thought of a story, and you told someone else, and then you created this. It's really amazing story.
Yeah, it was fun. That was the biggest thing. We were just having so much fun with it. And going back to a little bit about me, I was a card player. I played Magic the Gathering growing up. I collected Pokémon. When I lived in Vegas, I played Dragon Ball all the time, got pretty competitive with that, and just saw as we were creating it, I was like, man, this, I have the game in my head figured out even before we had thought about the comic up and running and all these other things. I was like, hey guys, I'm going to build the game. Let's keep building the story. And then we'll just kind of create a rollout plan for all of this. So, although it kind of started as a story, it quickly shifted to a game because of my past experience with cards. And to this day, I've got slabs and Pokemon cards and just all that kind of
Absolutely,
stuff.
yeah.
It was hard to not do a card game. I should say, probably easier to say, it was easy to do a card game because that's what I knew and that's what I wanted.
How did you take Alpha Clash from, like you said, the storyboard, just discussing it with your buddies, to where we are now with the Kickstarter? And what would you say is the biggest challenge along the way in that journey?
Well, I think one of the biggest challenges, I'll start with that first. I think one of the biggest challenges was convincing the current team that we have along the way of like, hey guys, this is my vision for it, and this is where I see it going. Because at first, like, oh, okay, because not all the teammates are really heavy into cards. Some of them are more into comics or just artwork or, the collecting side of things. And so, being just like a player and a collector, said, hey, like this is where I see it going. And then once they got on board and they saw like the plan, then it was like, oh, okay, this is great. I love it. Let's execute. So how did we get here? It's been daily tasks that the team has executed on for almost 2 years now.
Wow.
This has been a build up. This has been just consistent hard work daily from 6 different people. And, because we all have different skill sets, I focused on, all right, the card game development. Yes, I came up with the original story, but my writer takes care of the writing, the comic development, the comic script. He manages that. Someone else does the management of the artwork and, artists and things like that. Someone that takes care of the production and fulfillment side of things. Someone takes care of the marketing, the finance, etc. So it's been just daily tasks of, like I said, almost 2 years now. By the time we have the products in hand, it'll be about 2.5 years of buildup. So,
Wow,
just
that's
being an
good.
athlete my whole life, it was always easy for me to see like goals. What's the goal? You want to be a champion in, 4 years from now? All right, you start training yesterday, right? And in the same way, it was like, okay, how do I get there? And it's just chipping away at the tasks, building the right team, and executing the plan.
Going back on what you just said about building your team, the first thing I noticed when I looked at the cards, right, it has to be the art. I think the art looks really cool. Like right away, it just stands out in this game. So exactly who created the art and the graphic novels? Was there inspiration you pulled from any other TCG games? Because you mentioned before that you played Dragon Ball Z, or was there any other games you may pull influence from to create the art?
Yeah, so the artwork, we actually, before we started art on the trading card game, I mean, we probably talked for 3 weeks straight of what's the vision of the art style. And the vision was always in my head as League of Legends is what I want to see on the cards, because no one really did that, right? No one was really doing a video game look on a card. And also there was really no competitive superhero themed game either. And so to me, it was like, hey, those are two things that I love, and this is the vision for it. That was agreed upon, and everyone was excited. And so, who are the artists? Well, because I wanted, the League of Legends look, I just went to ArtStation, Instagram, whatever, and I just started doing research on League of Legend artists, Smite artists, Flesh and Blood, Magic's Gathering, like all these, looks that I liked, and then I just started finding the artists, and now we've built a pretty good team up. We're always actively recruiting. If someone has the skills to do it, we take a look at them and all that. But I went right to the source. Said, oh, these people do stuff with League of Legends or Smite or whoever regularly. All right, I'm going to contact them and let's see if we can get it going with them. And so that was the card game. In terms of the comic book, the graphic novel, my teammate is the writer and does the script, so we don't have to hire any writers or anything. But the cover artists, they work with Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, all those big name companies. The main cover that we have, the guy does a lot of work for like Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Deadpool, things like that. And then the interior work, the same thing. The guy that did all the interior art, he had experience with Image, Dark Horse, Marvel, and the like. And then same with the colorist and the letterer. Same profile. Because I told the team, everything that we do, if we're going to do it, we need to do it right. Is everyone in agreement that this is right? And yep, okay, cool. This is how we're going to move forward with artwork, etc.
It's amazing. Like you ensembled your own Avengers team to create this game. It's pretty cool. Like when you hear everyone's background and what they can do and they put it together. League of Legends, I knew something about this looked somewhat familiar, but different at the same time. But when you say that, I'm like, wow, like that's really cool. It's not been done before. And it just makes me look at it a completely different way since you just said that right now. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was always the vision. We could have made it look, more like a comic book or a cartoon or, whatever. But playing all the games that I did, I was like, man, no one has done this that I can find. obviously Magic and Flesh and Blood have great artwork, and we definitely emulate the art style on some illustrations, but I think by and large it's that League of Legends and Smite look.
Yeah, that's awesome. Going along with the cards, the card game specifically, what makes Alpha Clash different than other TCGs on the market? Is there some really cool mechanics in the game or comeback features or something like that that makes it stand out from the other games?
Yeah, definitely. When I sat down and started to create the game, it was a game that I wanted to play. I could have gone off and said, well, this hasn't been done before, and let's take a chance and let's see if it's fun and all that. Um, which we do have a lot of ideas in the pipeline for future projects, not the trading card game, but that's another story. But for this card game specifically, well, what do I want to play? Well, I love Magic, I love Dragon Ball. Hearthstone is super fun. All right, let's see what we can do that's original, but also not go too far off of the beaten path, because I feel like if I do go too far away from the mechanics that do work with the competitive card games, it could be risky. It might not be fun. I might not like it. So what I wanted to do was do the things that work, but add new elements that haven't been done before. So what I think makes Alpha Clash different, one, it is a story-driven card game. So everything that you see in the story, from the graphic novels, the books, it's the same exact characters. The way that they play in the game is in the story. If a character can fly in the story, they can fly in the game. Just things like that. Just another thing that I think hasn't been, done in the same way. We do have contenders, which you could say in Dragon Ball, you have the leader, or Hearthstone, you have, I think they call them leaders. They have abilities on them. Same in our game, but we kind of took that Magic approach and gave everyone haste, gave the contenders abilities, and as you're playing the game, your contender gets more dangerous at new life thresholds. So as you're starting to take more damage, if your opponent's starting to win, the scales can tip quickly back the other way, with a good contender mechanic and use of that.
No, when I was watching your tutorial video online and you mentioned the threshold, I thought that was awesome. If you've ever played Marvel vs. Capcom 3, when you get your X meter full and it's like kind of like a comeback mechanic, I thought that was so cool. I've never seen that done in a card game. I don't think anyone's ever thought of it. If the opponent is like snowballing and getting really, really strong, like you're not just like, oh, well, I lost this game. You have like a way to come back. Am I like on the right path there?
Yeah, definitely. The contender abilities are not overpowered, but they certainly give you an advantage that can put you back in the game. Obviously, a good pilot of each deck will help determine that. But this game has been play tested for 8-10 months of the full first set, and so now we are in the final month of testing. Everything's pretty much wrapped up. It's really balanced. It's really fun. But some of the other things that make this unique and stand out, but also stay true to the tried and true methods and mechanics of good games. We use affiliations. So on the bottom right of the card, there's a little symbol, and it could be a progenitor, or an alpha, or a rogue, or an alpha hunter, and things like that. That gives players the opportunity to build decks around different affiliations that they like. So you could run 2 affiliations or just 1, or anything like that, to give yourself some firepower within your deck and some congruence with your contender. Or we also have colors, we have keyword names, and then we also have planets. So you really have 4 ways to build a diverse deck, either a monocolored or a multicolored deck. You could run blue and white rogues, or you might be able to run black alpha hunters with red alphas that are all earth-based characters. So, there's just so many different ways to build in playability in the long term. So obviously the first set, it's the inaugural set, and I think people are going to love it. But as the game expands, the play options are going to be really fun. We also use something called Clash Grounds. In any superhero type setting, if Aquaman fights in the ocean, he's at an advantage. So let's take that mechanic, and if you can control the Clash Ground, then you're going to be able to benefit your deck, and you're going to probably debuff or hurt their deck if you can control that zone. And so that was another way that we thought, okay, we can use something that might be similar to an enchantment in Magic or a field in Dragon Ball, but it plays differently than those games. And so, that in conjunction with what we call clash buffs, where you can kind of buff up your characters in combat, everything can attack when it comes into play. It has, like haste and magic. We built the game as like a faster version of what Magic plays, but also just taking a lot of really fun mechanics that they don't do. And so, yeah, that I think all of those things combined together really does make it stand out on its own. And the feedback that we get from Magic players and pretty much all players is, I love it because it's not hard to learn, but it's really refreshing. I haven't seen this yet.
Now, the one thing I do like, because you just talked about like the speed of the game, that you said it's like Magic, but it's a little bit faster pace. I'm just happy that it's not as fast paced as, let's say, Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm more of a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. I love that, but a lot of people do not like the OTKs, the one-turn kills. As long as the game is planned out so that there's some way, maybe a comeback mechanic or some way to continue the game, I'm sure a lot more people will feel comfortable to play this game, especially because it sounds like it's a good balance. Even the big three, they even have issues with balancing. So if you come out with a game that's just balanced and you focus on balancing, I'm sure a lot of people are going to love playing the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I would think in the first set, and even for the most part, the vision of it is to have games last 5 to 8 turns, which might be 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the matchup or skill level, and things like that. So, yeah, it definitely plays fast, but the design is balanced so that you can't win on turn one. In the very first rough draft of the first set, you could win on turn 1 or 2 with combos that I hadn't thought of, but after playtesting, realize, okay, well, that can't exist. We've really, weeded out all the problem cards. We've given them, pretty much new faces. We've revamped so many things, and it's in a really fun place. To date, we still don't even know what the competitive meta is, and we have competitive Magic players playing the heck out of this thing, and everyone is trying new combinations, and nothing is standing out as the one thing that just dominates. So we're having a lot of fun with it. I think players are really going to have a new option to go to that's competitive fun. And also, if you want to be casual, it can be casual as well.
In the last couple of years, there's been a lot of TCGs that came around. Some of them have disappeared already. The reason why I see is a lot of them didn't have like a long-term goal or long-term plan for what they're going to do next in the game. What is your long-term plan for Alpha Clash?
Well, talk is cheap, but what we can say is we do have a plan. We have a team that can execute, and we've even proven that. Our first Kickstarter that we ran was for the graphic novel. We turned that around in 2 months for the graphic novel, and then we landed distribution with the largest distributor in the world, and we'll be on comic shelves in just the next couple of months. So that was phase one, and we executed that, and that's happening right now. The future of Alpha Clash, not just as a trading card game, but as a whole, has a plan. The next part of the plan is this Kickstarter, fulfilling that Kickstarter, landing distribution with the game, and then starting our rotation schedule. So by next year, if I can have the Kickstarter fulfilled, the next wave to game stores, and then have the next set all released, that means that we did our plan perfectly. And not only that, we've got a board game. We should have 2 more graphic novels next year. And then by 2024, we're going to start to see, world championships, probably 4 more trading card sets, a couple more graphic novels, probably 3 or 4 a year. We should be releasing 1 book a year for the next few years at least. And so, for the next 3 years through the core end of Q4 of 2025, we have a list and a timeline to execute all these things. And, our big, hairy, audacious goals, our BHAGs, the things that we have as banner items, that 5 to 10 year plan, it's to have a TV show or a streaming series or a movie and a video game. And
That's
so,
awesome.
and it's fun. That's the best part. We're having fun as a team. And I think that if we can hit these goals, these timelines, we can execute on these things. I think that we can be competitive in a few of these industries.
That's awesome. How does it cater to like collectors versus players? I know you mentioned that it's going to be a competitive game, but you're going into, like you said, TV series and all these other avenues, which is awesome. Are you going to have stuff for collectors there?
Yeah, so the collector side of things, it definitely exists with this game. Our first graphic novel had trading card promos that were early. We've been running Patreon and we'll do that until the end of the year. So anyone that wanted in on the ground floor, you had a few options to collect, from a comic to a card game. As we release this Kickstarter, the focus is on the players because,
Mhm.
this is a player's game. But one of our teammates, actually a couple of our teammates are big collectors, and they really focus on the collectability side of things without taking away from the gameplay. So we've talked as a team. We don't want to create a card that's really playable and also really collectible. What we want to do is we'll do alternate art versions of that, or stamped versions, things like that, to keep the collectors and the players happy. We don't want to create a secondary market that people are having to pay several $100s for a competitive card. So in this Kickstarter on November 22nd, you will see a lot of options for the players, but then there's some really cool things that we've built into the campaign for collectors. So just to name a few, one, in every starter deck, so what we call it, it's a 2-player clash kit. So you get 2 starter decks in one. There is what we call the AXO card,
Mhm.
and the person that bought the top tier of the graphic novel Kickstarter got to help us create a card. And so we made that a really playable card, a really awesome card. But every clash kit is, $30 or $35. So if you want to get this card, all you need to do is get the clash kit, and you can only have one in a deck as well. So you only need one. And then we created the chase for the collectors. One in every 10 of them will have an alternate parallel foiling.
I've got a smile on my face just hearing that. That is so cool. I wish a lot of other TCGs did that because, like you said before, they release a great card and then it shoots the price up, and then your casual players or even your competitive players, they need 4 in a deck, and the card is $100. They have to shell out $400 just to have a playable deck. And I'm glad that you took that into account and you're gonna try your best to avoid that.
Yeah, we're excited about that. And the artwork is going to be incredible. I may try use one of my personal favorite artists to do it. And yeah, I can say it's going to be awesome. We will also have a alternate art. It's called the Alpha Rare. It's going to be an alternate art of one of the 2 legendaries in the first set, which is the highest rarity. And there's only going to be 1,000 of them printed and spread out among blister packs and booster boxes. If you want to play with that card, that's great, but there's only 1,000 of them. But the other legendary, it's much easier to find, and it's the same exact card. So again, that accessibility, and it has the same gameplay. So we're excited about that. We'll have stretch goals that will have unique cards. We'll have stamped promos for the game stores, for tournaments, things like that. And I would say the last thing, if people want in on a collector's side of things, we run something called a VIP pass. I'm holding one in my hand right now. It's gold stamped, it's UV textured. The artwork is incredible, and you can get it for $5 if you just go to what we call our VIP pass sign up, and then we ship these out with the Kickstarter orders. The collector side of things, that's an easy way to get involved. And if it's a player, it's a playable card, and it's going to be in the set just with the normal art version. We're trying to appease both audiences, because we really want to make sure that the players are taken care of, but there will be a lot of fun things for the collectors.
That's really cool. It sounds like you really have that worked out. You thought about it that, okay, we don't want the secondary market. I've seen that become a big issue for certain TCGs, especially newer ones. And if you can actually control that ahead of time and have a plan for it, I always think that works out a lot better. So that's good.
We got to see the mistakes of other competitive card games and say, okay, we saw what happened there. Let's not do that. So we get to learn from the mistakes of others, which is great. I think that the team has a great vision for how to balance that.
Talking to you right now and hearing all about Alpha Clash, it got me excited to want to play the game. From your suggestions, I would like to know what is the best way for someone to start playing this game? Is there a spot that they go see tutorials? When the Kickstarter launches, is there specific starter decks that they should get? How should someone new be able to start playing this game?
Yeah, there's a few ways to get into the game and learn from the get-go. One, you can go to the YouTube channel and just search Alpha Clash TCG, and we have tutorials there. We have full gameplay sessions, and we'll be adding more over time. But you can see short form tutorial, discussion about the game and the mechanics and all that, and then you can actually see games being played. And so that's an easy way just to get your feet wet with how the game works and all that. And then when the game goes live, we will have the 2-player clash kits. Those are perfectly balanced. Every time we have people play it, it's a 50-50 win ratio with these 2 decks, and they're built for learning the game. Are they optimal for meta play? No, but that's why they exist. It's to learn the game with the cards that are not only fun to play, but are balanced and fun.
I mean, I feel like I can't even ask you a question where you're like, oh, I don't know. Like, you've thought everything through. I'm super, super impressed. I like the 50-50 win rate on the 2 decks because I know a lot of people, they get those starter decks and some are overpowered. One person wins all the time. So that's awesome. So now, after hearing all this, I want to purchase the game. Where do I go to purchase it? Where can I buy it?
Yeah, on Kickstarter, you search Alpha Clash TCG. You're going to find us on there live, kicking butt. That is where people can get the first wave of the products and the game. The plan after that is to hopefully have it on the shelves of local game stores worldwide through distribution. But, the best way and the fastest way to get it right now is on Kickstarter.
And you said the best way also is to sign up for the VIP?
Yes. So the VIP pass, if you just go to our link tree, which can be found on any social media platform, Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or Discord or anything like that, on the link tree, there is a VIP pass link. As soon as you click that, it pretty much walks you through. What's awesome about the VIP pass, not only do you get a highly collectible, awesome limited print run card, because we're only printing as many VIPs that sign up. So if there's only 300 of you, there's only 300 of these that exist. Also, for the $5, not only do you get the card, you get a blister pack as well. So you get a lot of value for just $5, and then you will get those rewards when you back us on Kickstarter.
That's really good. For that price too, that's really good that you did that. I had a question. You did mention a rarity type before. You said, I guess his alpha rare is one of the rarity types. Do you have a list of what the rarity types would be and also the holographic cards?
Yes, absolutely. In the first set, there's going to be 132 cards. 127 of them are playable. Possibly one of the biggest collector pieces that I didn't talk about earlier. I'll touch on that really quick. Again, not my idea. One of the other teammates. We have something called an iconic art, and on top of every single booster case, there will be one iconic art card that will be there, and there will be 5 different iconic art cards. So theoretically, if you wanted to get a full set of those, you would need to buy at minimum 5 booster cases to have a full set of the iconic arts. Now, these are not playable. It is literally the iconic rare, but it's stripped off all of the text, and it's just a pure art card for the collector side of things.
Oh, that's cool. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, those will be pretty exclusive since there's only 1 per 12 booster boxes, because it will sit on top of the case. Yeah, those will be good collector items. But the rarities, going back to that, we will have common. And on the bottom of our cards, there's a flame crystal. And depending on what color it is, determines the rarity. So if it's white, it's common. If it's green, it's uncommon. If it's blue, it's rare. Epic is purple. Iconic rare, which is an alternate art of 5 different epic cards. Those are yellow, yellowish gold, and then legendaries are orange. And then currently the alpha rare is either going to be orange or we're going to do a slightly different color. We haven't decided, yet, but we'll have that all buttoned up. So those are the different rarities, and then also you'll be able to see the color of the rarity on the card.
The one thing I really like about this is you mentioned numerous times, and Rich talked about it before as well, is that you have these rarity types that would be for collectors, but you're separating it. You're not keeping any text or anything on it. You're not making it playable. So it's definitely for collectors. This way it doesn't interfere with anyone that wants to play the game. And I think a lot of TCGs today, they don't do that enough, right? It's that they try to put something in the deck that anyone could get. And the problem with that is that's when you have that secondary market and it's harder for people to actually play the game. As long as you continue to do this, where you kind of separate something for maybe for a collector, but then focus on the people that play the game, you definitely get the best of both worlds when it comes with support. So I definitely like what I hear so far.
No, I appreciate that. That was the vision. Please the collectors and please the players. How do we do both of those things? Well, this is what we think is the best approach.
It helps that you're actually a player and a collector too, going through your past and the games you've played, and because you're not just creating a TCG, like you love this, this is yours. You wanted to play it, so it's great to see it come to fruition.
Yeah, a lot of people had COVID babies. This was my COVID baby, was Alpha Clash. Thought up the story, built the team, built the vision, and started to execute, in early, January of 2021. So yeah, it's coming to fruition. We are at the tail end of everything, and the team is excited. And I know that there are players and collectors and just fans in general of the Alpha Clash franchise that are ready for these products to get into their hands.
You said that this is like your baby, and a lot of people do not like to say which kid they like best. But if you had to choose one character, one type of card, which one would you choose in this? Is there anything that you specifically like the best out of all the characters?
It is hard to not choose Magnate as my favorite character. And the reason why is he was the very first thing I thought of when Alpha Clash came into my mind. And so when I called up my buddy that's an artist, he gave me a sketch, within a few hours, and I was like blown away. I was like, I can't believe you just drew what my idea was in my head. And so Magnate, yeah, he's the big bad guy of the first book, and people will love to hate the guy, but he is just an awesome, fearsome character. And so he is one of my favorites for that reason.
It's awesome. Wow, like I'm trying to think of what else we could ask you. I mean, most important thing is you already went over to Kickstarter, which is great. So can you go over all the social media links and how people could actually find out more about Alpha Clash?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you search Alpha Clash TCG on Instagram, Discord, Facebook, TikTok, you'll be able to find all those. There's link trees on all of those sites to go to if you can't find something. Discord might be one of the hardest to find if you just try to find it on Discord. So if you need the Discord link and the invite, find that link tree on Instagram at Alpha Clash TCG or TikTok at Alpha Clash TCG. And you'll be able to find right on the profile in the bio, click the link tree, and it has literally everything. If you want to buy a comic book, you can go there and you can buy a comic book, or you can find the other social sites. You can find tutorials. You can find the rule book for the game. It takes you to our website. Everything is right there for them.
One thing that I just want to let you know is that just by talking to you, it sounds like you guys as a team have everything pretty much put together. You already have your long-term goals. You already have, in case something goes wrong, what to do next. And you seem miles ahead from other TCGs that are just starting up right now. So I definitely wish you luck. I really think that you have something different to offer, because this is something that really no one has tried before. And it does feel like a video game / trading card game. And if you tell the story with a comic book, then there you go. You have the best of all worlds, which is great.
Appreciate that. And, one thing that I want to tell to your listeners is you can back with confidence. I'm holding a sealed booster box with booster packs in my hand. We did a sample print run for quality control. We wanted to learn from our mistakes. We had never done large scale printing before. So we wanted to do some learning ourselves. And we learned a lot on just a sample print run. All the artwork is going to be done before the Kickstarter ends. Our files for our booster boxes, blister packs, starter decks, and everything else, they're ready to go. We are ready to go to the manufacturer. You can have confidence that we are working super fast and far ahead, but we're also working precisely and making sure that we learn from any mistakes. And these sample products are awesome. We're going to make a lot of tweaks on these so that when you get the product in your hand, it's going to be perfect.
Awesome.
And hopefully you'll get it quickly. The only thing that would stop you from getting it quickly would be the process, the manufacturing and the shipping. We're ready to go. As soon as everything is wrapped up, it'll be handed off, and then we're just at the mercy of the process at that point. So you won't be waiting 1 or 2 years for your Kickstarter order. You could have it. I don't want to make any promises because we don't know those things, but you can have it hopefully within just a few months or a little more, depending on how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, Hector and I talk all the time about, TCGs on Kickstarter who overpromise and underperform. And, they promise the world and then a year goes by and they're silent. But with you, you've got everything ready to go. I'm super confident that I would buy this like right now.
No, I love hearing that. And we've worked for the past, almost 2 years and as a team as a whole, building a foundation that has sustainability that can execute timelines. Because if we want to make the distribution loop, if you want regular new supporting booster sets every whatever we do, 2, 3, 4 months, whatever it is that we need that our fan base is demanding, well, we have to work really far ahead. If there's 160 cards in a set, that's 160 illustrations just for that one thing. So that's just on artwork that could take 3 to 5 months to get that done. So because these are such high level complex illustrations, they take a while. So all that to say, we are building the foundation now, working ahead on the things. We're working on set 2 already, and graphic novel 2 and graphic novel 3 and the board game and all that. We're working on those things so that we can hit those timelines to support the fans and to start delivering on time and having fun doing it along the way.
That sounds great. Man, I'm really excited. I wish I could go on and ask more questions, but Rich, is there any questions that you had?
I think Ridge, you answered every question I had and then more. So I'm super excited about Alpha Clash.
And I just want to let everyone know that's listening that we're actually going to post some blog on the website at collectahobby.com, and we'll definitely be talking about Alpha Clash. And as soon as it launches and Kickstarter, we'll keep you posted on what's going on. Obviously, we're going to add all the social media links for you as well, Ridge. So we'll make sure we put that on the website. Wow, this was a really good interview, and I really appreciate you joining us. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
Don't miss out. Awesome team behind this project, and I think the sky is the limit. So thank you guys for having me on. I had a blast just hanging out, talking Alpha Clash, because I could talk about this all day, and we're going to be getting products into hands very soon.
Awesome. That's great to hear. All right, and with that, I guess we're out. Talk to you guys next time. See you.
You've been listening to the Collect a Hobby podcast. Hector and Rich have been collecting video games as well as trading card games for years, and they're up to date on everything that has to do with the hobby. For everything you could imagine and need, hit the website at collectahobby.com. You'll find the blog, show and tell, the vault, the forums, and so much more. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll see you next time on the Collect a Hobby podcast.